BrandVoice of YellowPages.com by Larry W. Rice. Every company needs a brand voice. The character, whether real or imaginary, gives a cohesive voice to the intended message. In today's competitive market, it is even more important that the character has a very distinct and powerful personality. This voice should be one that can be used by any media of expression used by the company. The character we have chosen is Superman from the 2001 TV version entitled Smallville. This is a different Clark Kent than the traditional Superman. Smallville's Clark is missing the flashy blue tights and red cape. Clark is just your average teenager from small town Kansas, except he's from another planet and possesses superhuman powers. He dresses like a typical teenager. He has his friends and family around him. He is shy, especially around Lana Lang. His father is a farmer and his mother's a homemaker. Most of his friends are his schoolmates, except for the rich, powerful, eccentric Lex Luthor. Lex and Clark begin as best friends, but end as mortal enemies. In the first few seasons, the stage centers on Clark's high school years. One student after another would succumb to the powers of green kryptonite and attack Clark or his friends. Clark would rise to the task and use his powers to defeat the kryptonite. In the end, his friends were kept safe, and no one but his parents knew his secret. Speed and physical strength were his two main powers. When an emergency developed, Clark was at the scene in a split second. Bullets bounced off of him, and knives did not penetrate his skin. But kryptonite was always around. He always had to defeat or avoid the kryptonite, the primary barrier to his success. The most significant trait of Clark Kent is his character. He is honest and very loyal to his friends and family. Because of his abilities, he often faces the issue of not being able to help everyone. He wrestles with the guilt of failing to prevent a friend from injury. Clark always has to face decisions that require him to determine what is right and what is wrong. There are always more crises than Clark could resolve by himself. Along the way, Clark would meet other superheroes with similar powers. They all had unique abilities that could be used with the abilities of others to prevent evil from gaining too much of an advantage. They eventually formed the Justice League to defend the innocent and prevent world crises. It was not just Smallville that needed Clark Kent. It was Metropolis and the rest of the world. Whenever there was a threat, Superman or one of his cohorts was there to defend the innocent from the guilty or to prevent a devastating event from hurting too many people. The world was his mission. However, it was always in conflict with and threatened his desire for happiness. It was not just Smallville that needed Clark Kent. It was Metropolis and the rest of the world. Whenever there was a threat, Superman or one of his cohorts was there to defend the innocent from the guilty or to prevent a devastating event from hurting too many people. The world was his mission. However, it was always in conflict with and threatened his desire for happiness. Clark's most important goals were to protect the innocent, especially young children. He had saved a number of young children from danger, such as a tornado. His powers helped him. He could wrap a small child in his arms, and his body of steel protected both him and the child from danger. He had earned the respect of his friends. He had risked his life to save their lives. They were just as willing to risk their lives to save his life. He believed that friendship was one of the most valuable assets a person could possess. Friends should never be taken lightly. Clark had two loves of his life, Lana Lang and Lois Lane. Lana was his first love, but it never quite developed because of his fear of telling her his secret. Those who wanted to hurt Clark soon learned that those close to him made good bargaining tools. Lois came later and with the same issues, but Clark succeeded in telling her his secret. Clark's adoptive parents were the rock of emotional support for him in times of his greatest distress. Raising a son with superhuman abilities was a major challenge. They deeply wanted a son, but knew that if they exposed his abilities, he would probably be locked away as some specimen. They dedicated their lives to making sure Clark had a normal life. Clark's life depended on keeping his secrets safe. Some would see his powers as a threat to everyone. Those bent on evil would see his powers as a tool for their own greed. Some would fear him because they did not understand him. Only those close to him understood his good and unique qualities. One of his greatest foes was kryptonite. Green kryptonite made him weak. Red kryptonite removed the moral side of Clark. There were many other forms of kryptonite that also affected Clark. Sometimes he would be given kryptonite without his knowledge, and he would have to somehow overcome its effects to return to normal. Clark's biological parents died when Krypton exploded, but they managed to live on in the crystals that were sent in the spaceship with Clark. The crystals created the Fortress of Solitude for Clark. It was a place where he went to seek guidance from his biological parents that were in the crystals. Lex Luthor became Clark's friend when Clark saved Lex from drowning after a car accident. They became close friends over time, in spite of the fears of Clark's father, Jonathan Kent. This relationship was not destined to last, and over time Lex became Clark's greatest foe. Oliver Queen, the Green Arrow, is probably Clark's closest superhuman friend. They have saved many innocent individuals over time. They have worked together on many occasions. They have saved each other on several occasions. In spite of many obstacles, they remain very close friends. Chloe Sullivan was a very interesting force in Clark's life. A close friend, almost a love interest, and the only one to discover his secret early and hide the fact from everyone. They eventually became very close friends and helped each other out as the need arose.